And Donna Farkey's 7 Moving Principles of Yoga, I like to remember them by saying, be scary. So breathe, engage, support, center, align, radiate, and yield. And I love thinking about radiate in terms of, if any of you guys remember the Care Bears, the Care Bear stare, where the bears are just like staring there and they're trying to make usually the quote unquote bad guy soften up and have compassion for other people. So they just like take their Care Bear bellies and beam love out at people. And that's what I always think of when I think of radiating. Centering is the idea that you're pulling yourself, your body parts inwards, and that really helps with balance and strength through movement. So a lot of the time we think about shoulders back, or our abdominal wall, our belly lock softly in, pelvic floor up, thighs pulling together, which helps to square the hips. All those are ideas of centering. Support is the idea of using the floor, like pushing into the earth to make yourself feel strong, as opposed to bracing and being stiff. Yeah, it's more like you have a shock system that's springy and full of movement. Alignment, of course, is getting your joints of your skeleton aligned so that your skeleton can help you without wearing out the connective tissue around each joint. And engage is the one that we haven't talked about yet. So thinking about engagement as joining all of those elements together that we just discussing, and also thinking about your body in terms of your mind and your breath and your physical movement all working in unison. So the actual definition of the word yoga is yoke, like the way you would yoke an oxen to a cart. And so it's about connecting the mind and body together. And one of the ways that we start out doing this in yoga is usually just bringing our focus, our mental focus, to the breath. And that breath work starts to affect the way that your body is feeling, both in terms of your heart rate, and that starts to affect your body's reaction to a slowing of the heart rate or a speeding up of the heart rate by movement changes what hormones that your body is triggering to be sent off. And that is a cycle really in our bodies. If we have a thought like, oh my gosh, I have to go give a big speech, then your body pumps you full of adrenaline, which can be great if you want to be full of energy, but can also be stressful if it comes out too much or we don't know what to do with that energy and it feels like anxiety. The opposite is also true. If you've ever experienced post-traumatic stress disorder, or like maybe been in a car accident and you notice that when you go around that corner where your car spun out, every time you do it for a while, your body will kind of tense up and like lean to help protect you. And that happens without us even thinking about it, because it happens before the forefront of the brain gets in on the process. Your body is using its own smarts to protect you. Another easier way to think about that is the idea of a reflex, right? They test your reflex when you're a kid. If you tap this big tendon here, your leg kicks out, and that's because your body's protecting itself from straining the other muscles. So we know scientifically that your mind and body are linked. And we know in the Western world that your mind affects your body, right? Because we think, I'm going to raise my arm up, or I'm going to put a smile on my face. But a lot of the time, culturally in the Western world, we've forgotten that the other is true. That when we move our body in yoga, and hopefully you have learned this through experience now at this end of the semester, that your body's movements affect your brain in that cyclical manner, right? You're moving your body, that changes your heart rate, that changes what hormones are going through your body, and that changes your mental state, yeah? So engagement for me really is about practicing with an awareness of how those things connect together. So today we're going to do a restorative practice, which means that we're really going to be thinking about how our breath affects our mood and how to soothe ourselves. And I will say, since I've been, reading your comments for a number of semesters now, that often I read in your journals that we feel uncomfortable with the idea that it's okay to even just sit still, right? A lot of you have been trying longer meditations for the first time in our practice, and one of the most common comments I see for people trying the first time is sort of a friendly joking around about feeling awkward about sitting still. And I just want to tell you that that feeling is really normal. It's okay to feel that way. And that it's also malarkey. Like, we don't need to feel that way. It is absolutely not only okay, but integral to our wellness as a human being, our ability to have compassion for other people, and our health, to let healing and recuperation be part of the cycle of self-care. Yeah, you know, just as important as what we eat, as how we stay active, as how we ask our body to get stronger, we also have to make space for it to build those muscles, make space for our mental and hormonal, emotional system to calm back down. Because otherwise, when something stressful happens and our stress levels rise, if we've always been staying up here in like a moderate stress zone, and then some big stressor happens, we're going to pump all the way up to top stress level, right? But if we take the time to bring our baseline back down, our calmness and our emotional well-being, then when something stressful happens, we can handle it here in this middle area. But if we don't take that time to care for ourselves and bring ourselves back down to a healthy base, then everything just layers on top of each other. So I encourage you to value the importance of stillness. And if it feels uncomfortable today, give yourself a little chuckle, give it a little break. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. And in fact, it's very normal to feel awkward. I'm making this sound like it's going to be terrible. It's not. It's okay to feel awkward when you're trying something that's new. So let that happen. Yeah, no judgment here. We're not actually going to do anything weird. Let's listen to some music and roll around on the floor. It'll be great. All right, guys, I'll meet you on the floor. Let's start by slowing down our breath. I'm trying to decide on which playlist we wanted to go with. Let's just start here. All right, everybody, in your easy pose today, we're going to start with more breathing than normal. Let your palms face up on your knees. And we're going to be here for a little longer than normal. So if it's challenging for you to be in the quote-unquote easy pose, feel free to sit on a mat or a cushion or a little folded up towel if that makes you more comfortable. I'll just start with a little bit of motion to settle into this shape. So maybe you want to roll your shoulders back, inhaling as you bring those shoulders up towards your earlobes, then exhaling as you center them down in the back. And you can move your head around, you can bend your torso. Often in this class we just hop right into the easy pose, but today I invite you to wiggle into your easy pose. Slow wiggles, but let yourself shift. Maybe twisting your pelvis a little bit. If you feel like it would benefit you to big breath up and raise your hands to the sky, let that happen. Feels like I want to bend forward and let the back of my neck release. You can do that if that feels good. When you're ready, find that upright spine. And we're going to really slow down our breath to start today. So let's start by breathing in through the nose to the count of 4, and then we're going to hold our breath to the count of 4. Exhale to the count of 4 and hold empty. And the idea here is we want to feel those moments between the breaths. All right, everybody, let's move and breathe together. We're going to breathe in through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. And exhale slowly through the nose. 4, 3, 1. Inhaling through the nose. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Breathe in. Breathing in all the way down into your belly. Hold. Slow exhale. Hold in that emptiness. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, slow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding that fullness with a big belly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling slowly. 5, 4. We're going to go to that place of potential, that empty spot where anything could happen. And hold that emptiness. 5, 4, 3. Notice how your body feels if it starts to feel a little antsy or twitchy. And assure yourself it's okay, and then inhale again. Can you really fill up your whole torso with air, expanding your belly, and then hold? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Two, 1. Hold in that silent stillness. Feel your heartbeat. And big inhale. Keep breathing in. And hold that fullness. Start to feel a little more detail in your body. Do you feel your heartbeat in your fingertips? Last slow exhale is going to come up. Now, slow it down. Blowing air out that whole count. 2, 1, and holding your last empty hold. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Soften your shoulders and slow breath back in. Letting go of the counting. Just feel your whole lung capacity. Slowly breathe in and out. No more counting, no more holding. Just feel what it feels like to return to a slow, deep breathing cycle. And one of the reasons why pranayama, the breath practice, is powerful often is because it gives us a chance, by controlling our breath, to notice times when our body responds to stress, right? If you're holding your breath empty for a long time, your body sometimes gets very anxious. Because you're controlling your breath, you have a chance to work with your automatic reaction and to calm it down. Yeah, you know that you can take a breath. And when everything is all out of our control in life, which in reality it is, our breath practice allows us to both acknowledge that lack of control and also to learn to act with a little more grace in those moments. Just take a few more breaths to enjoy your breath. Come back to what feels comfortable to you. And when you're ready, open those eyes and breathing on in with those arms. And we're going to absolutely connect each breath in through the nose and out through the nose today with our motions. So as we bend our torso or soften into a stretch or a bend, we're going to exhale completely. And as we roll back up, we're going to inhale. So we're going to just do some familiar movements here. And your goal is to really integrate the inhale and the exhale with them. So I'm just going to continue to sigh down my center line. Slide your hands forward. Stretch your back forward into the earth, giving yourself downwards to gravity. Take a whole breath cycle here, yielding to gravity. Good, and inhaling this time, lengthen out, lifting your arms out. We're going to exhale over to your right side. Let your hips come up for once today. And really bend the whole torso. And just rock, letting your torso close and inhale. Letting those ribs open and exhale. Let it close. All right, let's take our hips back down, rooting the pelvis back down to earth. My elbow came up, yours might too. And that same rotating motion. I'm going to rotate the palm to the back wall. And as I exhale, I'm going to bring that pinky down, palms down, and thread the needle. Really take your time here. Go with your own breath. Inhaling up. Exhale, open to the back wall. Shoulders down. Inhaling back up. Exhale, thread the needle. Smoothing your breath. Coming back center. Let's rise up. Inhale and exhale. Tip it out. Whee! Big long reach. Let your hip come off the floor. Open up that side body. Start to rotate the rib cage with your breath. Feel your right hip yielding to gravity. Rise up, root the right hip down as well as the left hip. Exhale, thread that needle. Inhale, slowly moves you up. And exhale as you expand to the back of the room, like you're trying to place your arm back there on the wall. Shoulders down, softness in the thighs. Following your own breath, so your speed might not be in sync with me today, and that is totally right. Let your speed and rhythm align with your own breath today. Coming back center. We're going to drop our arms down behind our back. I'm going to hold my own hands back here and press my chest forward. And then I'm going to just slowly pan my chin, one side to the other. I'm making a rainbow arc with my nose. Notice how pulling your arm and chest back gives you more of a chest stretch throughout this action. Release your hands when you come back to center. Touch the floor and spread those ribs and rest your neck on your shoulders. Walking your hands back in space, we're coming to a hammock with our bellies. And press your chest open wide. Extend the crown of your head back as you exhale, yield. When you're ready, inhale your chin back to your chest first, then rising up. We're going to curve to switch our feet. Inhale, arms wide. And we're going to circle this time, so we're going over to your left. Exhale. Feel your right hip still rooted as you reach across diagonally. Through center in the front. Reach across diagonally, root the opposite hip. One breath cycle here too. Inhale, swinging up, reverse, big circle, really let go over each thigh. I'm inhaling through center and passing to the other side, settling over the left thigh. Inhaling up, dropping down those shoulders, softening them back again. And then just anything that feels good here, I want you to just move it around. Find your breath again. Opening your chest skyward, lifting those rib cages up, slight tuck in the chin so the back of the neck can be long. I'm going to take my hands on my knees today so that I can really pull my shoulder blades back and press my chest to the sky without having to use my hip flexors. Find your breath here. Big arch in the upper back. Find that belly lock and release your hands up. Like you're asking the cloud to come on in and give you a hug. Come here, you big fluffy cloud. Settle those arms back behind you. Again, walking back. I'm going to shift my feet so my soles of my feet are together now, and I'm going to rock. And then I'm going to let my knees relax and come down to my elbows here behind myself. And I'm just going to arch up with my chest, resting my head on my shoulders. Just breathe. Letting your hip sockets open. Letting your shoulders release. Inhaling your chin to your chest. Regather your root lock and your belly lock and slide your legs out in front of yourself. And before you move on, let's just walk through those feet. You can do them both at once. You can circle the ankles. But I encourage you to imagine what if your toes had the kind of dexterity that your fingers do. Can you wiggle those toes around? Maybe slowly fan them. All right, reaching long through those toes. Gather up your pelvic floor and your belly lock and press your chest up. Soften those knees and slide forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, open. Exhale, down. And we're going to rest there in your west pose. Soft knees but parallel. Slowing your breath. Keeping your chest low, softly turn your head side to side. Maybe your chin is grazing against your collarbones. Maybe you want to slow that motion down even slower. As the muscles in your back release their tension, allow you to drift a little deeper. As the muscles in your legs release their tension, allow you to drift a little deeper. One more breath here. We're going to inhale, reaching forward to rise up. Swinging those palms back, fingertips forward. Go ahead and bend your elbows. Gather up your belly lock, shoulders back, shoop, and press up. Reaching the crown of your head, radiate away from those toes. Supporting through those arms with a cushiony press. Using your glutes to get your hips all the way high in line with the rest of your body. And settle down. Big breath in. Softening one leg. Spiraling to it. Letting your hand pass down to the floor. We're going to open that thigh. Inhale up. Soften the long leg with a nice flexed foot. And grab the foot where you can. And I'd like you to just rock through the foot here. So we're going to rock our foot side to side. Letting all those little tiny bones and muscles, there's so many of them in your foot. Letting them kind of wiggle a little bit, pushing your toes down. Mine are very poppy today, maybe yours are too. And then I'd like you to pull your toes back towards the knee, opening up and stretching the ball of the foot. And this should be pleasurable, yeah? So if it just feels like really nasty and tight, maybe don't push so hard. If it feels good to get in there with your fingers a little bit, have a little foot massage, then go for that. But listen to what feels pleasurable, please. All right, friends. Now we're going to take that leg a little bit further out, but more importantly, we're going to re-square those hips and we're going to lean our chest over that leg. Now, I like to slide my hands or my fists underneath the calf here to make sure that my knee keeps that softness so that I'm really stretching my hamstrings and not my tendons. That also is helpful to keep your knee from rolling out to the side. So support yourself to stay in alignment as you stretch. And if you lost track of your breath, then come find your way home. Your spine lengthens as you inhale. And you soften your ribs into your thigh as you exhale. Go ahead and inhale, arching your way up. Bring those legs back together, swinging your hands back. We're going to take our palms just wider than our hips, elbows back and down. Gather up through your pelvic floor and belly and come up to your tabletop. Open that chest and lift your pelvis a little higher. If your feet are too far out, this is way difficult. Make sure your feet are underneath those knees. Settle that down. Now your left leg's long, and your right leg is going to bend as you twist to the right. Finding your breath. Let that hand come down. Hips are squared, knee open, soften left leg, hands underneath the calf to melt forward onto that left leg stretch. You have this feeling of radiating or attenuating, spreading longer as you inhale. And softening downwards as you exhale. Soften that knee some more. Find your foot and stretch the balls of the feet. Stretch your toes. Give yourself a little massage of the feet, spreading out. Maybe it feels good to run your fingers over the backs of each toe and stretch the back of them. Settling deeper into your stretch. Notice if you can pull that hip back in space a little more deeply to square the pelvis so that our thigh is really at a right angle to the pelvis. Usually when we're in this head to knee pose, the thighs want to open and twist us into a wide stretch, but that's a different stretch. Returning to the rhythm of your breath. Inhale, rolling up. Bringing both knees in, nice and close. Coming back up to your tabletop. Can you roll your shoulders back and open your chest a little more? Now let's squeeze those legs together and see if you can extend one leg out without dropping your hips. That's the tricky part, right? You really got to push the floor away. Switch legs, dropping your hips down. We're going to draw our wrists forward with those judgy flamingos for a moment, just so you get a big wrist stretch, and slide the elbows back. Elbows squeezing towards each other, belly lock in, rise up, and straighten the other leg. And take it down, exhale. Making some judgy flamingos. Both legs out. Big breath in. Exhale. Grabbing both feet, pulling your toes towards your face, towards the crown of your head. Feel how this stretch is intensified by adding in the soles of the feet and the calves. Keep your breath. Release your feet. Bringing your feet back underneath your knees, hands together, shoulders back, belly lock, floor lock, press up the hips. And now both legs off the floor. Just kidding. Let's go ahead and start with your right leg. Can you lift it up in the air like someone's lifting your toe up? And switch. And take it down. Settle those hips. Swing your wrists through. Really big flex in the wrists. Judgy flamingos out. One more breath cycle. Inhale, lifting out, squeezing your legs together as you circle those arms around. And fingertips forward, elbows back, shoulders down, pelvic floor, legs together, nice and long, pressing up again to that east pose. Settling your hips back down, big breath in, flowing forward. We're gonna roll back up, left leg's gonna bend, swinging those arms back again, gathering up your pelvic floor, your belly, your shoulders together, pressing up. One leg straight, one leg bent, come all the way to flat tabletop, lift it up high, lower it halfway, and body down. Open up that thigh, big breath in. Forward fold, flex foot. Breath cycle here. Exhale deeper. One more here. Release. Rolling up, and just as a reminder, forward fold. Any of your forward folds, one-legged or two-legged, bent knees are always fine. The rules are that we want our knees to be pointing upwards. We want to stretch the hamstrings, not behind the knees. So my legs may be straight, but that is not a requirement. Inhale up. Good job. Exhale. Tidy up through your pelvic floor. Press back to east. Big squeeze of your pelvis upwards to the sky, supporting through the arms, finding your breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, left leg in. Is that correct? Right leg up. I feel like this is the wrong side. Switch legs. Left leg long. There we go. Tabletop. Up in the air. Lower it down, all the way, hips to the floor. Open the right thigh, stretching over the left leg. There we go. Grasp that foot and melt. Soften your knee. Everybody, creep your chest a little bit further along that thigh for one more breath. Lovely. Soften that down. Taking your hands back, leg up, pressing up, flat, rise, lower, down, hips down, open them wide through your butterfly. Remember, you can slide these feet out as far as you need to so that your pelvis can fall forward, not just bending through the back, but your pelvis falling back. Yeah, scoot your feet out as needed. Sometimes I like to bring my feet in and then walk my hips one and then the other back away to find that spot where my pelvis and my hip bones are falling forward. Yeah, as opposed to your chest reaching forward, your abs working hard. Find that spot to release. Coming back home to your breath. As you inhale here, imagine your thighs reaching out long, opening wide. And as you exhale, imagine your spine, your back, and your pelvis all dipping down into gravity. See if you can slow down the amount of air that goes in and out so that you can not just breathe in forcefully at the beginning of the breath and then kind of at the end, but spread out that breath a little bit more evenly, and that'll help you get more oxygen into your lungs. Let's try it together. So instead of a quick breath in, we're going to go slowly. Keep going, keep going. Take more in, 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 and same with the exhale. Steady and gentle out. Inhaling rolls you up. Don't be surprised if you feel your heart respond when you demand a change in your breath. That's healthy and good. All right, we're going to take one leg behind. Yeah, remember we want to really respect this knee to the back here. So one of the best ways to protect that knee from hurting is to make sure that our back foot is not flexed but pointed so that the heel can rotate in and stay in alignment with the rest of this knee. Now we're going to use actually a flow from dance, although it might have come from yogic practice initially. I'm going to separate my thighs as far as I can wide with my hip down. So that's the tricky part, right? So maybe this knee is quite far forward. That would be totally fine. But I'm going to try and put the back leg hips on the floor to start. And then we're going to spiral from the bottom of the spine up to the top. And we're going to spiral again from the bottom of the spine up to the top. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to face the diagonal so you can see me a little better. All right, so I'm going to start with this hip down. And when I start with this hip down, my tailbone kind of tucks down to vertical here to get here. And I can already feel a big opening in the hip socket here. My hip flexors and my adductors are both already feeling stretched. So from here, I'm going to lengthen through my nice long tile spine, and I'm going to press with support into both legs. So I feel like I'm opening my pedals of my thighs into the earth. And that action is going to roll the hip forward, and that's the very base of my spine. And then I'm going to rotate the lower back, the rib cage, the shoulders, the cervical spine, which is your neck, all the way up into the vertebrae inside your head, and then my eyeballs. To come back, I'm going to start from the bottom again. So first my hip rolls back, then my waist, then my ribs, then my shoulders, neck, and head. And I'm coming back even further than the center where I started. As we're doing this action, I am definitely thinking pelvic floor lift, and I'm trying to keep my belly lock in so that I'm not forcing out my belly to try and force it around. Instead, I want to pull in, I want to center in so that I can radiate. Yeah, centering, helping me to radiate as you spiral. Let's try it together. I'm going to follow the music a little bit. I'm going to exhale all the way back. All right, here we go. From the bottom, inhale, hip, waist, ribs, shoulders, neck, head, chin, eyeballs. Stay here for a breath cycle, and you can use your hands on the ground to help push you around. One more inhale, and then we'll return on the exhale. And we go hip, waist, ribs, chest, drawing my belly in, neck, chin, eyeballs. Find a breath here. And whenever we're really twisting through those ribs, it compresses them down, and that makes it more challenging to take a deep breath. So let that challenge arise in you. Strengthen your diaphragm, breathing into that pressure. All right, I'm going to inhale and wind forward, hips coming forward. Waist, ribs, neck, chin, eyeballs, breath. Next exhale will bring us back home. Hips, waist, ribs, shoulders, neck, chin, eyes. One breath cycle. And hips, waist, ribs, staying right on top of yourself, chin, eyes. All right, walk your fingertips out past that right leg. Feel that left hip opening out behind you. So don't bring the knee back up with you. Instead, extend that knee, wrapping it back around. You can scooch with your foot if you want. Find a big open hip. And I'm going to press my hands into the floor and help to revolve my chest even more. Can you place your elbows down? All right, added bonus time. Can you lift that whole leg off the floor? Checking in with your pelvic floor, your root lock, your belly lock. Pull your shoulders back, rise halfway. And let it down. Good, good. We're gonna take our body back to the front, come down to the side, and just take that leg that was back, place it in parallel with your body, and open up the thigh and the hip flexor. So if we are letting the knee drift forward, we might just feel the thigh stretch here. And if we want to get up into the hip flexors, then what we need is to radiate the knee down and straight away from ourselves, and also to use our core to keep our tailbone in the same line, yeah? A little exploration. Can you draw a line with your knee on the far wall that's a little above the hip to a little below the hip? If you're feeling strange feelings in your knee, make sure that your heel isn't twisted above or below your pelvis. You want that heel to go directly into its own hip socket. Finding your breath. All right, release that leg. Take that leg across the body, nice and high. Stretch your other leg long. And we're gonna roll our chest open, away from that thigh. And as that left knee to come back down to the mat. And slide it down long along with its friend. Let yourself pass through Shavasana. And then roll back up, reaching through your legs. And swooping your right leg back. Now, many of us, and myself in particular, are very differently abled when it comes to each hip. So for me, it's much easier for me to put my one hip down on the floor than on the other side. On the other side, I feel like I'm like 4 inches different. It's really quite different. So it's okay if you feel that way. Remember, you can draw your knee a little forward or a little back to try and find where it is that you can sneak that leg onto that hip back onto the earth. And take this moment to find your spot. Whew. Don't be afraid to softly massage into those areas that feel tight. Now I notice that I feel my knee more on this side because there's less slack in my hip. So I'm going to check in with this heel, and I notice my heel is pointed up towards my armpit. Uh-oh. So if I rotate that heel down towards the earth, my knee doesn't feel that torque anymore. I'm going to keep my knee down. It's a little tricky. And we're going to do our spiral. So starting with an exhale, ground it into that hip. We're going to inhale as the hip comes forward, and then the waist comes forward, and then the ribs wrap around, shoulders are back, bellies are in, revolve into the back of the room with the neck and the chin and the eyes, and finding our breath. Exhale home. Three breath cycles. Long, proud gaze. Inhale to wind back around. Hips, waist, ribs, chest, chin, eyes. 2 breath cycles. Exhaling home. One breath cycle. Inhale, revolve. One breath cycle. Exhale home. And back around. Wrap your foot a little further back. Take that long body over and rest out to the side. And I'm sneaking that leg a little further back. Now that my hip is up off the ground here, then I can wrap my leg a little further and really feel an opening in my hip socket, especially on the hip flexors and the outside, this tensor fascia lata area. I'm doing that by walking my foot around behind me and continuing to tuck my pelvis underneath as I send my hip under and forward, under and forward. Gather in through your pelvic floor and your belly. Lengthen through the spine and lift that leg, wrapping it behind yourself. And finding your breath. And if you like, you can lift your chest up as you do. Seeing your foot over your shoulder. Release that leg. Come back to face front and slide down onto that side of your body. And taking that right foot or ankle in your hand, opening up this right hip. So one of the most common reasons for low back pain is because our psoas muscles, which is the innermost hip flexor, it attaches to the inside of your thigh, crosses through the belly and grabs your lower back. That psoas, P-S-O-A-S, psoas, can be too short on most of us because we spend so much time sitting. So as you pan this thigh, opening up all of the things that raise your knee to the front. Also, there's the counter to your psoas, right? Your psoas pulls you closed. So if you're doing a little 90s hip hop, you might close your thigh forward. That is caused by your hip flexors. But we also collapse that way from a lack of abdominal strength. And this is something that I noticed was affecting people, especially during Cobra. And we're going to do a big back bend today. So let's talk about how abdominal strength affects your back. Right now you're pulling your thigh back in space, yes? And as you do that, your lower back, I'm going to turn to the side, is getting this really big arch in the lower back, right? Because that psoas is attaching to the lower spine, it pulls you forward as you pull the leg back. And so what we do in addition to stretching this out is we need to use our abdominal wall to pull in to hold this flat through your lower back. So go ahead and let go of that leg. And we're gonna roll onto our bellies here. And if you are fascinated or concerned with your lower back, well, before we get into this while I chat, just rock your hips side to side because it feels delicious. Stay with your breath. So if you are feeling a lot of lower back pain or worried about your posture and how it's affecting you and your comfort levels, my core fitness class is all about improving the strength in your torso so that you can be more comfortable, rehabilitate from injuries, and prevent them in the future. So if you want to go on a deep dive, that's the place. All right, we're going to take our foreheads to the mat. So before we do that, go ahead and look at me while you still can. We're going to take your hands to the lower back. And the best way to find that is to grab your booty. And then above where your booty cheeks end, there's the firm spot where your pelvis is. And your lower back is going to be the about 6 or so vertebrae that are between your pelvis and the bottom of your rib cage. So take your fingers into your body and massage that whole area and really feel where the top of your pelvis is. Mark it with your fingers, press into it. It's probably really appreciative to get a massage there on either side of your spine, and where all the muscles of your transversus abdominis and your quadratus lumborum are attaching to that pelvis. They get very tired there, so give them some love. Don't be afraid to grab your obliques, the sides of your waist, and press into those muscles. Finding your breath again. It's hard to breathe on your ribs because we often expand our rib cage, and laying on them compresses them. So we're
Breathe instead into your armpits and your sides. And go ahead and feel those ribs. Dig your fingers way in and feel the ribs and where they touch to the bottom of the spine here. So we want to lay our hands below that. And I'm going to lay them 2 blades. I'm going to show you up close. 2 blades, one on top of each other. Yeah? And as we move, we're going to rock the hips. And as I rock the hips, I'm going to cause my back to lengthen and let it collapse again. Yeah, soft belly, hyperextended lower back. That's why your back hurts. Supported back, curved back, neutral back, compressed arch back. Yeah. So we're going to rock our hips around, trying to keep a soft and gentle belly lock. Yeah, it's not stiff. It's not 100% the tightest abs you've ever made yourself squeeze. It's just around 60-70%. But we're going to rock the hips. It's not a whole body cat-cow. Adjust your pelvis with your hands on your lower back and see if you can get your hands to feel the difference in the amount of space you have when your belly's lifted up, you're hollowed up, your tailbone is reaching down towards your heels. Your back will be long and it won't get compressed. So go ahead and release that. Let your belly out. Lift your booty into the air and you'll feel your hands get smushed a little bit closer together. Yeah. Go ahead and keep rocking through. I'm going to show you again from the back this time. Okay. So if my booty's out and my belly's out, my hands are smooshed together here. If I draw my belly lock in and start to lengthen my tailbone down towards my heels, all of a sudden I have space between all my fingers. And if I lift my belly away from the floor and curve my tailbone underneath, then my hands don't even touch. So that's a lot more space that you have to keep your lower back from compressing. And we do that with abdominal strength. So just rock through that. See if you can start to feel like, oh, this is curved, this is arched. This is arched. This is curved. When I'm curving, I'm pulling my hip bones all the way up and just resting on my thighs. It's okay if there's flesh on the ground, but you're trying to move your muscles and your bones, yeah? So you might still have a lot of stomach on the ground touching, that's fine. As long as you're lifting up with the musculature and the bones. All right, from there, let's press up to all fours. And let's go ahead and do our cat-cow. Hold back, tuck your head. Feel that stretch in the back of the neck as well. Chin to chest, belly up. Exhale, arch. Open your pelvis. Drop your ribs. Bring your shoulder blades together. Spread your heart and pull that chin poke back. Inhale brings you center. Exhale, curving into that Halloween cat shape. Press the floor away with your feet and your arms. I find when I really press my feet as well that my belly goes curvy, even more bend in my lower back. Soften. And expand downward. Really arching your back, really opening that torso, your thorax, which sounds, I know, like Lorax. Shoulders back, open the ribs in the front. Come back to flat back. Come down to your elbows and hold hands with yourself tightly. So you're in a dolphin arm pose. And same action. Tucking in, looking at your own belly button. Inhale, long back of the neck, shoulders back flat. Exhale, arch it all up. You can even press your chest down to your thighs. Inhale, curve it forward, tuck. Exhale, press it back. Go ahead and tuck your toes. Bring your thighs together if they're not already. Inhale, curve, tuck, straighten your legs. Exhale, press it all back. Inhale, curve, tuck.
hips forward. Exhale, press into your pinkies. Lovely. Let those knees come back to the floor and open your heart into the ground. I'm going to inch my fingertips forward and try and put my chin on the floor and let my neck open and my heart open. Not everybody's chin is into that, and that's fine. So if so, then lift up a little bit or take your tailbone a little bit, maybe 2 inches further back so that you don't have to press your chin down. Big heart opener. Finding your breath. Pressing the earth. Sliding through your modified plank. Let your chest come down. Legs together. And lift your heart forward into your Sphinx pose. And feel in your Sphinx pose how? What's your belly doing right now? Mine currently is like actually squishing out into the floor. Now that's not what I want, but I did it because it felt, without intention, that it felt like that was gonna be the way to push my chest up, to push my belly into the ground. And that is very commonly the way that we end up with a sore back trying to do a downward dog, or, I'm sorry, not a downward dog, a cobra or baby cobra. So let's go ahead and put our hand down and rest. 5-second nap. Returning to the rhythm of your breath. Letting your heartbeat bring you home. All right, from this quietness, now you can hear yourself again. Big exhale, and then on your next inhale, begin to lift the pelvic floor and begin to lift your belly up, your pelvic floor up into your belly, and your belly up towards your rib cage. Bring your legs back together if you hadn't already. And use your glutes for now. You can even stick a hand on that glute. Use your glutes to pull your tailbone down towards your heels. Really reach that tailbone down. Reach your heels away. And you should already start to feel that longer, more spacious lower back. Yeah? Your belly is rising up from the earth. Your hips are up. Hold on to that feeling. And place your hands on either side of your rib cage, just under your belly button. Pull your elbows, centering them. Forehead on the floor. Recheck your pelvic floor. Re-lift your belly. Re-reach your tailbone through those toes. And lengthening through the tailbone, we begin to press the earth away. So rise up into a cobra with a long back. Strong abdominal wall. Can you lift your abs in even a little bit more and then balance that with an open heart? Lift your core back up and press to your child's pose. Rolling up through the body, centering those thighs together, pulling your pelvis back like you're going to drop a little ribbon over the front, or a strip of bacon. Belly's in. Open up that chest. Use your glutes and your squeeze from underneath to center, rise. Slide forward, keeping that belly lifting underneath you. Find your hover. squeezing your thighs together. Get a little lower till your hands touch. Swing those elbows in. Nose, chin, chest grazes the floor before you go on. Legs together. Pelvic floor. Belly lock. Shoulders yak. And pressing up through that cobra. Big lift through your belly. Abdominal lift. Zip it up. Find your breath. Lengthen through the back of your skull, not your chin. And lower down. Back up to your child's pose. Big breath. Rolling up again, centering through the thighs, gathering in your pelvic floor into your belly lock, rocking your chest back, centering your chest, balance back. Scoop up from underneath yourself to rise. And this time, you can grab a wall if you like, but we're gonna step forward with your right foot. Fun balance. All right, friends, we're gonna open this left thigh. Remember, we're gonna sneak this front foot as far forward as need be so that the knee is not passing the ankle. And again, we're using that same feeling of pelvic floor, belly lock, lifting to send the tailbone underneath. I like to imagine if you had a big fluffy dog tail, you could like reach through, grab it like a husky, and whomp, pull your hips underneath yourself. Opening up the back leg, finding your breath. Arching up. And I'm going to keep my right hand on my right thigh here because I'm trying to keep it square. And this hand is reminding me to ground through that hip. My other hand is reminding me to experiment, to explore upwards, to find my breath. And sigh down. Bringing that foot in. Opening up the front of the pelvis, shifting. Re-square. Fluffy tail pulls under and through. Belly is lifted up and back. If we could, we'd put that bacon strip here, but there's no way your hips are tipping back. We're trying for that same feeling. Hand on the thigh. Inhale, rise through the heart, finding your breath. Settle it forward. To come back. I'm going to have you do one thing against a wall or a chair. Let me show you what it is in case you need to leave. Basically, we're going to take our elbows, and you can hold hands for this if you want, but even better if you can make what I call pizza pie arms. If you can imagine that you're like holding a tray with a pizza. What do I have here? Halloween pajamas. That's my pizza. And I'm going to be holding my tray straight forward. Yeah? So, elbows are in. in front of the armpits, right angles. And the thing I'd like you to do is to start here, place your elbows on a surface. This is not a good surface because it has wheels, but you can see it in the camera, so I'm going to use it for now. Elbows on the surface. I'm going to walk my body back, and I'm going to see if I can tuck my head past my arms. And you can put your palms together here if you like. Even better if you can press apart with your fingers and try and hold your hands apart. And you're trying to open your armpits and keep your palms apart. All right, release that. Go ahead and curve and press up. And we're going to try to get that feeling now on our backs. Yeah? So, I'm going to lay down on the floor, and I'm going to move my mic back, but I'm going to take your arms in that same position and walk your fingertips under your armpits. Go ahead and walk your fingertips under your armpits. It can take a little while to get in there as well as you can. And then notice where your elbows are. If you have a ridiculous bun on your head, then your bun might be in the way. So, you know, that's a thing. Move that out of the way. And maybe rock your shoulders side to side. And notice when we first get here, it's like just the fingertips can touch, or the elbows want to go all the way out, or they want to go all the way in. And we're trying to walk the tips of all of your fingers underneath your shoulders and get your palms on the floor. And this will probably be an intense wrist stretch for most of us. So feel your way there with some gentleness. And when you get your palms on the floor, then wobble those elbows side to side. I'm going to adjust my bun. Don't be shy about adjusting your buns, friends. And I mean on your head, because it's no fun to have your neck askew just because your hair looks pretty. It's just not worth it. So take the moment if you need it. Ouch. Can you get your whole palm flat onto the floor? That's the question. All right. If your palm were flat on the floor, right, we're walking here. Usually it looks like this at first, so we're going to squeeze our elbows in. We're going to try and get your whole palm flat on the floor behind you, including your thumb. That's what you're shooting for. And then once you've got something like this going on, recheck your elbows are in. And hello, abdomen. Can we get the abdomen back in? Big breath there. All right, from wherever you are, respect your elbows and wrists. Can you, keeping your elbows in, just press your shoulders off the floor? And then maybe even arch your back. And release. Place your shoulders back on the floor. Take your hands all the way underneath and press down the knuckles to the inside of the wrist with each hand before we go on. We're going to do a few rounds of build-up just like normal. As you're stretching your wrists, can you please rock through those hips? So we're curling and arching our lower back. And we're going to roll back to our bellies. And we're going to take one foot in. Actually, if you'd like to use a strap today for this is definitely a good strap occasion. So you can wrap your strap around your ankle here and pull it into your buns. Again, we don't want to go outside or inside. We want to go directly to our own hip socket so that we're evenly stretching through the knee instead of making a liability in that knee socket. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and stretch the other side. And we'll come back to both of these. We're going to do a little add-in once we've come back. All right, returning to your first knee stretch side. As you get a hold of that foot, let's re-engage our core, lifting up through your belly lock, bringing in your belly, feeling that same long lengthening feeling through your lower back that we practiced. And then what we're going to do is kick the foot into the arm. So we're creating resistance and we're also firing up the muscles in that thigh. Keep the thigh along your center line and press your foot into your hand. Find that fire. One more breath cycle. And then release the kick and let the stretch get deeper. Re-lengthen through your lower back using your abdominal wall. And switch legs. Once you've got your alignment, we're going to kick the foot into the hand. Breathing. And exhale into that stretch. Lengthen through the body. All right, friends, gathering your pelvic floor, grabbing both feet. Most of us grab with the knees out to the side, so remember just to bring your thighs back together. Pelvic floor in, belly lock, trying to lift your hips and belly away from the mat. Shoulder blades back, long neck. We're going to press our hips into the floor and press our legs into our hands for upward facing bow. Really support and protect your lower back. Release, let it go all the way. Hands down, back to your 5-second nap. Roll onto your back. We have one more adventure for today. But first, I would like you to hold your knees to your chest and stretch that lower back because it almost certainly got compressed in that last action. Rocking side to side. All right, we're going to take our feet down. This definitely has some bus stops here. We're going to go from hip raises up to bridge and possibly upward facing bow. That's definitely an option. That's not going to be for everybody today, but we're just putting together the things we've already done. Okay, so feet are fairly close to your body. Arms start down by your side, rocking through that back. Look down with your eyes and make sure your thighs are parallel. They tend to fall apart or be uneven. So we want to keep a little bit of centering there, and then we're going to peel our tailbone up, hollowed out pelvis, rolling up, respecting your knees, rising up and pressing your arms into the mat for your bridge. Find your breath, long neck. Use your glutes. Rolling down. Release the back. Arms in, rolling back up. Now, if you'd like to add on to that, you can grab your hands behind your back and tuck your upper arms underneath your chest. Thighs together, holding your belly in to lengthen through that lower back. Release all the way down slowly. Take a break. Supine child's pose. That means we're on our back, but we're holding our legs into our chest. Let that counter pose sink in. You're gonna let your legs extend up and walk on the stars. Reach your arms up, flowing. Shiva Resa's playing the celestial harp. All right, last one. We're gonna soften those knees. We're gonna come back up and into the bridge. Or the alternate for this one is going to be to integrate those hands. So instead of your hands down by your side, you can choose to put your palms under your shoulders. If you try to press up here, where only the outside of your hands are touching and not your pointer finger, middle finger, and thumb knuckles, you won't be able to get up. So first, really make contact with those prime knuckles, middle finger, thumb, and then you can experiment with pushing up off your shoulders. All right, here we go. Bridge or upward facing bow. Big breath in. Big exhale. Start with your pelvic floor and your belly lock and your legs together and rolling up to that bridge. I like to sneak my feet underneath myself a little bit first and press my head onto the floor first and then find my way into bow. Squeeze your legs back together. Pull your belly lock back and really open that chest like we did against the table. Slowly lowering down. If your head's in the air, you're gonna touch the crown of your head and then the back of your head. Just slide down. Grabbing those heels. And extending your legs over your head. Let the counter pose sink in. And that's it for today, my friends. We're just gonna send our legs down now. If your lower back is feeling sensitive, please part your feet and let your knees fall together. Tuck your shoulders back, palms up. If you're ready to send your legs down in Shavasana, you may. Let your eyes close. Resist the urge to keep on trying and keep on going, even though I know it sounds fun. Making time to slow back down. The most important pose of our practice is this one, where we let our spine realign, where we let our shoulders like a lotus open back up and release, where we let our bellies and lower back yield down into gravity, where we let go of the desire to keep on anything. Letting go of desire. Finding that moment where we're no longer struggling upstream constantly, but instead we lay back and float, allowing Mother Earth to support us.
to your lengthening breath, perhaps with counts. Breathing in, gentle hold, soft exhale. Gentle hold. Breathing in. Gentle hold. Soft exhale. Gentle hold. And letting your breath return to natural softness. Letting your mind release any thoughts and instead just witness sensations. Feeling the air in your nostrils. Against the inside of your elbows. Feeling your skin. Gently coming back to your body. And when you're ready, just gently come onto your side. Notice, just notice how you feel.
For those of you who need to go on time today, thank you for joining me. And for those of you who'd like to get a little bit of pressure point in your back, which we didn't have time for yet, I will spend another 5 minutes with our ball. Yeah, whatever ball or prop you found. All right, so we're just gonna do that same delicious rollout we did before. Placing the ball first between the tip of your shoulder blade and your spine and letting it roll here, turning our heads. And then the second place we put it, before you lay down, I'll show you, is up here. We're trying to get our levator scapula. So we're trying to go, if this is the nape of your neck, you know that where the lump happens, we're going just inside and just outside of that. So first, lower on the spine. And remember, if it just feels like too much at first, you can leave your hands underneath your back or even put a tiny pillow or a folded up towel under there so that you're not quite as deep into the stretch. Finding your breath again though. And having compassion for those sensations that you're feeling without judgment. Roll that ball up another couple inches and make sure you're really between the shoulder blade and the spine. Gently turning your head slowly to the side. Inhale, exhale, letting your chin go to the other side. Inhaling your head back, center, and moving the ball up to that ridge of your scapula. Ooh, wee. Breathing into it. What do you do with that intensity? Can we soften into it? We have such an urge often when there's discomfort or a really tight place to stop breathing, to hold and freeze, to let that fight or flight happen. But instead, can we accept it with a breath? Instead of letting that brain monkey tell us about how tight we are and negative this and negative that, can we instead just open our arms to that place, give it permission and safety to release by soothing it with big, deep breath.
Can you experiment with moving your arm down by your side if it was up in the air? Or up in the air if it was down by your side? And as you move and discover a little more space, a little more blue sky on the other side of that darkness, a little more dawn when you get past that tension, then breathe deep. Turn your head, softly turning your head to one side and breathing. And softly to the other side and breathing. And go ahead and switch sides with your ball to that low spot between the tip of your shoulder blade and your spine. Letting your head turn. And when you're ready, placing the ball in the upper position. And breathing. Giving yourself permission to feel. Giving yourself permission to let go into that discomfort. And trusting that something is on the other side. That fight and flight are not the only options. That staying with yourself trusting your sensations. And releasing into this experience is enough to guide you through. Let your head softly roll to one side. Let your mouth and jaw release. And gently lift your shoulder off, coming back to Shavasana pose. And letting yourself feel the difference. And with that, my friends, I leave you to enjoy a beautiful day. Thank you for sharing your time with me. It's always a pleasure and an honor. Hi, kid.